The siren wailed like a predator closing in, and Amira's heart slammed against her ribs as the cop's baton cracked across her shoulder, the pain exploding like fire through her veins. She crumpled to the sidewalk, clutching the rainbow pin on her jacket, the one she'd worn defiantly to the protest, while the officer snarled, "You think you can flaunt that crap here?" Aleya's scream pierced the chaos, her hands reaching out desperately, but another shove from the police line kept her back, leaving Amira alone in the dirt, blood trickling from her lip, wondering if this was the price of being seen. Amira's mind raced back to that morning, when she'd pinned the badge on with trembling fingers, staring at her reflection in the cracked mirror of their tiny apartment in downtown Chicago. Why did I do it? She thought, the question looping endlessly. It wasn't just about pride. It was a scream against the silence that had choked her for years, the kind her father had enforced with his unyielding gaze. Retired Special Agent Khalid Rahman, a man who'd stared down terrorists but couldn't look his daughter in the eye after she came out. "This is not who we are," he'd said, his voice like gravel, when she told him about Aleya. And now, here she was, beaten for it, the world proving him right in the cruelest way. Aleya finally broke through the crowd, dropping to her knees beside Amira, her dark curls falling like a shield over them both. "Oh God, Mira, are you okay?" Her voice cracked, hands gentle on Amira's bruised arm, but inside, Amira felt the fracture deepen, not just in her body but in her soul. How could love feel so dangerous? Aleya, with her fierce spirit and soft smiles, had been the light in Amira's shadowed life since they met at the university's LGBTQ+ support group 2 years ago. Aleya's family, progressive academics from New York, had embraced them, but Amira's? Her father's disapproval hung like a noose, tightening with every stolen kiss. As paramedics arrived, Amira pushed herself up, ignoring the dizzy spin of the world. "I'm fine," she lied, but the lie tasted bitter. This wasn't fine. This was war declared on her existence. The cop who'd hit her smirked from afar, badge gleaming under the streetlights, and Amira's rage ignited. She wouldn't let this break her. But as Aleya helped her into the ambulance, Amira's phone buzzed. Her father. "What the hell happened?" His text read, clipped and cold. How did he know already? Of course, his old contacts in the force. The man who taught her to fight back now stood on the other side of the line. At the hospital, the sterile lights buzzed overhead, amplifying the ache in Amira's head. Aleya paced the waiting room, her mind a whirlwind of fury and fear. Why did this have to happen to us? She wondered, fists clenched. She'd grown up in a bubble of acceptance, her parents marching in pride parades, but Amira's world was different, rooted in tradition, scarred by her father's military past. Khalid had immigrated from Lebanon, built a life in America through sheer will, only to see his daughter betray it all. Aleya loved Amira for her quiet strength, the way she navigated the minefield of her identity with grace, but moments like this made her question if love was enough against such hatred. The doctor finally emerged, clipboard in hand. "Bruised ribs, minor concussion. She'll be okay, but she needs rest." Aleya nodded, relief flooding her, but it was short-lived. Khalid burst through the doors, his broad frame filling the space, eyes scanning like he was on a mission. "Amira," he barked, ignoring Aleya entirely. Inside, Amira heard his footsteps approaching her room, and dread coiled in her gut. What would he say? That she deserved it? That this was God's punishment? No, she couldn't let him win. As he entered, their eyes locked, his filled with a storm she couldn't read. "Who did this?" he demanded, voice low and lethal. Amira blinked, caught off guard. Was that concern? Or just control? The confrontation simmered as Khalid grilled the nurses, his special agent instincts kicking in. Amira watched from her bed, a mix of resentment and longing twisting inside her. Why couldn't he just accept me? She thought, tears stinging. Aleya slipped in, standing protectively by her side, but Khalid's glance at her was laced with disdain. "This is family business," he muttered. Aleya's jaw tightened. "She's my family too." The air thickened, the first crack in the facade. Khalid's phone rang. His old partner from the agency. "Yeah, I need names," he said, stepping out. Amira exchanged a glance with Aleya. What was he planning? Revenge? Or just more suppression? Hours later, discharged and home in their cramped apartment, Amira lay on the couch, Aleya's head on her shoulder. The silence was heavy, broken only by the distant hum of city traffic. Your dad. He's going to make this worse, Aleya whispered. Amira nodded, but deep down, a spark of hope flickered. Maybe this beating would force him to see her pain. Or maybe it would shatter everything. As sleep claimed her, Amira's last thought was of the badge, now bloodstained on the table. It wasn't just a pin. It was her declaration. And she'd pay any price to keep it. Khalid drove through the night, his knuckles white on the steering wheel. How had it come to this? His daughter, his pride, reduced to a victim on the streets. But victim of what? Her choices, or the world's cruelty? He replayed her coming out in his mind. The shock, the anger. It's a phase, he'd said, but he knew better. In his line of work, he'd seen all kinds of lives. Yet his own biases blinded him. Now, with the names of those cops in his pocket, courtesy of his contacts, he faced a choice. Let the system handle it, or make them pay. The agent in him screamed for justice his way. But what about the father? Back at the apartment, Aleya couldn't sleep, her mind racing. Amira's bravery inspired her, but the fear gnawed. What if this pushes her away? She thought of their first date, stolen moments in a coffee shop, where Amira's vulnerability had drawn her in. Now that vulnerability was a wound. Aleya vowed silently, I'll fight for us. But as dawn broke, a knock echoed, Khalid again. This time with a file in hand. We need to talk, he said, his voice softer, but Amira sensed the storm brewing. Khalid slammed the file on the kitchen table, papers scattering like accusations. These are the officers involved. Officer Grant and his partner Diaz. They've got a history. Complaints buried under bureaucracy. Amira stared at him, the bruise on her cheek throbbing in rhythm with her heartbeat. Why was he helping now? After years of silence, of pretending Aleya didn't exist? Aleya hovered nearby, arms crossed, her skepticism mirroring Amira's inner turmoil. I don't need your pity, Dad, Amira said, her voice steady despite the quake inside. But pity? No, this was guilt, Khalid knew. Guilt for raising her in a home where love had conditions. He'd fought for freedom abroad, only to deny it at home. This isn't pity, he replied, eyes hardening. This is justice. Justice, Amira thought bitterly. Where was justice when I needed your acceptance? The room tensed, Aleya stepping forward. What are you going to do? Go vigilante. Khalid shot her a look. Stay out of it. But Amira wouldn't let him dismiss her. She's in it, Dad. She's everything. The argument escalated, voices rising like waves crashing. Khalid paced, recounting his days in special ops, missions where he'd bent rules for the greater good. Sometimes the system fails. You have to act. Amira's mind whirled. Act how? Expose them? Or something darker? She remembered his stories, the ones that glorified his heroism, but now they felt like warnings. Aleya pulled her aside in the hallway. He's using this to control you again. Don't let him. Amira nodded, but doubt crept in. What if he was changing? Or was this just another way to pull her back into his world? Later that day, Amira met with her support group at the community center. The rainbow flags a stark contrast to her father's stark home. The facilitator, a kind woman named Jess, listened as Amira recounted the assault. It's not just the cops, Amira confessed, voice low. It's my dad. He wants revenge, but he still won't say he accepts me. The group nodded, sharing stories of familial rejection. One girl spoke of disownment, another of forced therapy. Amira's heart ached. Why did love come with such battles? Aleya sat beside her, hands squeezing hers under the table, a silent promise. But inside, Aleya worried. Amira's pull toward her father might tear them apart. Khalid, meanwhile, dug deeper, meeting his old contact at a dingy bar on the outskirts. Grant's dirty, the man said, sliding over photos. Beaten others before, minorities, queers. Department covers it. Khalid's blood boiled. This wasn't just about Amira, it was systemic rot. But as he drove home, memories flooded. Amira as a child, trusting him completely. How had he become the enemy? He pulled over, staring at his phone. Call her? Apologize? No, action spoke louder. He'd expose them legally if possible. But doubt nagged. Would that heal the rift? Amira and Alea walked home from the meeting, the city buzz alive around them. Your dad's plan scares me, Alea admitted. Amira sighed. Me too. But maybe it's his way of saying sorry. Alea stopped, turning to face her. Sorry isn't enough if it doesn't come with change. Their eyes met, the unspoken fear hanging. What if he forces me to choose? That night, as they lay in bed, Amira's thoughts raced. I love her, but family blood runs deep. The tension built, a powder keg waiting for a spark. The next morning, news broke. A video of the assault went viral, captured by a bystander. Amira's face plastered online. Hashtags trending. Justice for Amira. Reporters called, activists rallied. But with visibility came backlash. Hate comments flooded her social media. Freak deserves it, one read. Amira's resolve hardened, but vulnerability cracked through. Why fight when the world hates us? Alea comforted her, but her own fears mounted. Her parents called, offering support, a stark contrast to Khalid's brooding presence. Khalid watched the video in his study, fists clenched. This was his failure as a father, as a protector. He reached out to a journalist friend, leaking the officer's histories. Make it count, he said. But as the story brewed, he confronted his prejudices. In therapy once, forced by the agency after a bad op, he'd skirted his issues. Now they stared back. Amira was his daughter, loving who she loved. Was that so wrong? The moral quandary twisted him. Protect her, or let her fight alone? Amira faced her own crossroads when a lawyer from the ACLU contacted her. We can sue the department. Make them pay. Excitement surged, but so did fear. Suing meant reliving it all, exposing her life. Alea encouraged her. This could change things for others. But Amira hesitated, thinking of her father. His way or the legal way. The choice loomed, heavy with consequences. As the day ended, Khalid showed up unannounced again. I leaked it, he confessed. Amira's eyes widened. You what? Betrayal stung, he'd acted without her. Alea exploded. This isn't your fight. The room erupted, lines drawn. Amira stood between them, heart tearing. Why couldn't he just listen? The damage was done. The storm had begun. The leak hit like a bombshell. Headlines screaming, corrupt cops exposed in brutal assault on LGBTQ+ teen. Amira's phone exploded with notifications, the world suddenly watching her pain. But inside, rage boiled. Not at the cops, but at her father. How dare he take control? She thought, pacing the apartment. Alea watched, worry etching her face. This could backfire, Mira. Retaliation. Amira nodded, but the fire in her veins pushed her forward. No more hiding. Khalid faced the fallout at his old precinct, former colleagues turning cold. You crossed a line, Rahman, one said over the phone. But Khalid stood firm, his decision a double-edged sword. It was for Amira, he told himself, but deep down it was redemption for his failures. The moral weight pressed. Was exposing them right? Or just vengeance masking his guilt? He drove to Amira's, ready to face her wrath. The door opened to Amira's furious glare. You had no right, she shouted. Alea stood behind, silent support. Khalid raised his hands. I did it to protect you. Protect? Amira laughed bitterly. Like you've protected me from your judgment? The words hung slicing deep. Khalid's facade cracked. I'm trying to change. But Amira saw the hesitation, the ingrained bias. Alea interjected. Trying isn't doing. The trio clashed, voices overlapping in a cacophony of hurt. In the aftermath, Amira retreated to the bedroom, thoughts swirling. Why does his approval matter so much? She'd built a life with Alea, strong and true. Yet the paternal pull yanked her back. Alea joined her, holding her close. We don't need him. But Amira wondered, do I? The doubt seeded betrayal, not of Alea but of herself. The next day, protests swelled outside the police station, chants echoing Amira's name. She joined, badge pinned defiantly, Alea by her side. But as speeches rang out, a counter-protester shoved through, spewing hate. Go back to your closet. Security intervened, but the venom lingered. Amira's resolve wavered. Is visibility worth the danger? Alea squeezed her hand. We're stronger together. Yet inside, Alea feared losing Amira to this chaos. Khalid watched from afar, his contact warning him. Grant's gunning for you. The threat loomed, but Khaled's focus shifted. He attended a PFLAG meeting. Anonymous in the back, listening to parents share regrets. One story mirrored his, rejection leading to estrangement. Tears pricked his eyes. Have I lost her forever? The ethical dilemma deepened. Change for her or cling to old ways? Amira received a call from the lawyer. The department wants to settle, but we can push for trial. Trial meant exposure, dragging her family secrets into light. She confided in Alea. What if Dad's past comes out? His ops, the classified stuff. Alea paused. Maybe it's time for truth. But Amira hesitated, loyalty clashing with justice. The choice tore at her. Betray her father or herself. Tensions peaked when Grant confronted Khaled at a coffee shop, arranged through back channels. You ruined my career, Grant snarled. Khaled stared him down. You ruined my daughter. Fists nearly flew, but Khaled walked away, choosing restraint. Inside, triumph mixed with sorrow. Was this growth? Or avoidance? Amira learned of the meeting from Khaled's text. Handled it. Fury reignited. She wasn't a damsel. She stormed to his house, Alea in tow. Stop treating me like a child. Khaled sighed. I'm protecting our family. Amira exploded. Family? You mean your version without her? Pointing at Alea. The betrayal stung Khaled deep. I don't know how to fix this. Alea spoke softly. Start by accepting us. Silence fell, heavy with possibility and pain. As night descended, Amira lay awake, replaying the fight. The damage was done. Relationships fractured. What price for truth? Alea whispered. We'll get through this. But doubt whispered back. At what cost? The high stakes mounted, decisions looming like shadows. The settlement offer arrived via email. A hefty sum to silence the scandal. Amira stared at the screen, the numbers blurring through tears. Take it and move on? Or fight, risking everything? Her mind screamed no. The cops needed to pay publicly. But Alea's voice echoed. Think about us. The stress is killing you. Amira felt the weight, the damage to her spirit. Why must I carry this burden? Khaled urged her to accept. It's smart. Avoid the circus. But his motives twisted her gut. Was it protection or shame? She confronted him over dinner at his house, Alea absent by choice. You want this buried because of me, Amira accused. Khaled's fork clattered. No, because I failed you. Vulnerability flashed in his eyes. I was wrong. About everything. Amira's heart stuttered. Was this real? Or manipulation? The moral gray area engulfed her. Forgive or hold the grudge? Alea, alone in the apartment, wrestled her own demons. Amira's growing reliance on Khaled scared her. What if she chooses family over us? Memories of their love fueled her. Lazy Sundays, shared dreams. But betrayal loomed if Amira wavered. She called her parents for advice. Fight for her, they said. Alea steeled herself. I won't lose her. The trial decision deadline loomed. Amira met the lawyer downtown. Going public means scrutiny. Your life, your relationship. Amira nodded, thinking of the hate mail piling up. Society's judgment was a knife twisting deeper. But backing down felt like surrender. Inside, she battled. Sacrifice peace for justice? The cost mounted, emotional toll evident in her weary eyes. Khaled delved into self-reflection, reading books on LGBTQ plus allyship. Each page chipped at his walls. Why did I resist so long? Pride, fear, excuses all. He wrote a letter to Amira, pouring out regrets. I love you as you are. But sending it? That meant vulnerability, the agent in him recoiling. The internal conflict raged. Change or remain broken? Amira read the leaked letter. Khaled had sent it after all. Tears flowed. Acceptance? Finally. But timing suspicious amid the settlement. Alea read it too, skepticism rising. He's buying time. Amira defended him. Maybe he's sincere. The rift grew, their first real fight. You're choosing him. Alea yelled. Amira recoiled. I'm choosing peace. Betrayal cut deep, both sides hurting. The press conference announced. Amira rejected the settlement, pushing for trial. Cameras flashed, questions flew. How does your father feel? One asked. Amira paused. He's supporting me. Lie? Partial truth? Khalid watched on TV, pride swelling. But the backlash hit, threats to his home, old enemies resurfacing. The price of his actions. Safety for redemption? Alaya stood by Amira at the conference, but tension simmered. This better be worth it, she whispered. Amira nodded, but doubt gnawed. What if I lose her? The sacrifices piled. Relationships strained, privacy shattered. In court prep, Amira relived the assault, trauma resurfacing. Nightmares plagued her, Alaya comforting through sobs. Khalid testified early, exposing department corruption. I stand with my daughter, he declared. The gallery murmured shock, admiration. But Grant's lawyer attacked. Hypocrite. You disowned her. Khalid faltered, truth stinging. The damage. His reputation tarnished, but growth evident. Amira watched, torn. His sacrifice moved her, but the pain lingered. As the day ended, she hugged him tentatively. Thank you. But inside, is it enough? The high cost of forgiveness loomed. The trial dragged on, each day a battlefield of testimonies and tears. Amira took the stand, voice steady as she recounted the beating, the badge's symbolism. It wasn't just an attack on me, it was on who I am. The jury leaned in, but cross-examination sliced. Didn't you provoke them? Amira's fire ignited. Existing isn't provocation. Inside, triumph mixed with exhaustion. Why must I justify my love? Alaya supported from the gallery, her heart aching. The strain showed, arguments frequent, distance growing. Do I stay or protect myself? She loved Amira fiercely, but the chaos eroded their bond. A late-night talk. This is changing you, Alaya said. Amira sighed. For the better? Silence answered, betrayal's shadow lengthening. Khalid's full testimony revealed his evolution. I was wrong to reject her. Love is love. Gasps echoed, media buzzed. But the cost? Old friends shunned him, agency ties severed. Was it worth it? He thought yes, seeing Amira's grateful glance. His internal shift complete, but scars remained. Closing argument sealed it. The jury deliberated briefly, verdict. Guilty. Cheers erupted, justice served. Amira hugged Alaya, but the embrace felt hollow. The win came at a price. Fractured family, strained love. Post-trial, life shifted. Amira became an advocate, speaking at events. But home life tensed, Alaya's resentment built. You leaned on him more than me. Amira defended. He changed. The argument peaked. Maybe we need space. Hearts broke, the ultimate damage. Khalid rebuilt bridges, attending pride events with Amira. I'm proud, he said genuinely. She believed him now, forgiveness budding. But Alaya's absence ached. Had justice cost her love? Months later, Amira reflected alone. The badge, now framed, symbolized victory and loss. She reached out to Alaya, a tentative coffee meet. I messed up, Amira admitted. Alaya softened. We both did. Reconciliation tentative, but hope flickered. The journey taught harsh lessons. Change demands sacrifice. Love requires fight. Khalid, Amira, Alaya, each paid dearly. Awakening came, but at what toll? Was Amira justified in prioritizing justice over her relationship? Or should personal bonds always come first?